I was so glad how happy I was, at the rink, on the ice with the gals. Because I think just kind of coming off, frankly, my junior and senior year of college, it was just it got really hard at times. And so being able to wrap it up at home and with a really great group, it was really special.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today's guest is Olivia Mobley, a dynamic forward who just wrapped up an impressive 5th season in the NCAA. Olivia, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is really exciting. Thank you so much. You're going to hear me say thank you 1,000 more times, so prepare yourself for that. So why don't we rewind the clock, turn it back to your very first days in hockey. What was it that drew you to the sport, and what were those initial impressions from you about the sport as well?
It was my older brother that actually got me into hockey. We had a rink right behind our house growing up, a park in the summer, so a huge field, and then every winter they flood it. I think every single day during winter, kids were out there skating around, and he'd have his friends come over and hang out, so we'd play pickup, or we'd join whoever's playing down there, like adults who are playing. But we did that probably every single day when we were kids, and that's kind of how it all started. He's about 2 years older than me, and I just wanted to be like him and do what he's doing. He was a huge piece of that, and then honestly, everything just kind of flowed from there. I just kept playing, and he kept playing, and the more he did, the more I wanted to do. So I think my older brother is the one who really kind of got the ball rolling. And plus, having that rink right behind the house, it just made sense to go skate every day.
When you think back to those times, were there ever moments where you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore? Or was it like from the moment you saw your older brother play, you laced up the skates on your own as well? Was it that moment you're like, no, no, like there's nothing stopping me now. I'm all in. I'm all in.
I think when I was a kid, my parents tied my skates for quite a bit. No, as a kid, it was always full steam ahead. Man, I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to keep doing what he was doing. It wasn't until because there were a few moments like that in my career where I thought, it's just too hard. It's getting too hard, and I don't know if I'm good enough, if I can do it, but that wasn't until I think I played with the gals, like UH or something, and I ended up checking one of the gals, not on purpose, ran into each other, and she fell down and started crying. And I felt so bad. But I remember that was the first time that I thought that was it. I wanted to be done. I didn't want to hurt anybody. Yeah, I'm too aggressive in this game. But besides that, as a kid, it was always just keep playing.
I think, looking at your journey, um, I think one of certainly a motivating factor was likely the early success that you had as well on the ice. How did that fuel your passion? And how do you think winning, especially as a captain, also helped develop you as a player and as an individual?
I think for that winning as a captain, that was pretty special because you're you're a leader of the group. You're the gals look up to you, and I never felt that way. At least at Breck, I always kind of felt like our team leaned on each other. We were super close. Though my junior and senior year at Breck were some of the most fun years of hockey ever. Our group was so tight, but that was really special winning because it felt like it was a team effort the whole way through. Like we all did it together. We needed all the gals in the locker room, and to be, kind of representing that group in some fashion, which again didn't feel like that, but after you asking that question, looking back, it's pretty cool, and to this day, I feel pretty proud and pretty honored to have, stood by those gals and done what we did in those moments. But just thinking back on Breck and winning, it was so much fun going to the tourney. That was so cool. It was a childhood dream, watching it growing up, and especially in Minnesota, it's so huge here. But honestly, it's kind of the moments away from the rink that I kind of stand out because obviously winning is super fun, and I mean, who doesn't want to win? That's it's such a small part of the game, of the season, of the moment that it's really all the other stuff that kind of stands out. I mean, I remember there was there was one winter, I think it was my junior year or something. I had a super old car. I mean, she's barely kicking and she's got no heat in there. It was just, I mean, so much snow. There's probably like 4 inches of snow, and to get into Breck, there's this big downhill, and then to get out, you have to go up the hill. And it was all school chapel day, so everyone's dressed up. And I remember we got stuck on the hill, and I made all the gals. There's like two eighth graders back there, seventh grader, and like a freshman. We packed the car, and I made them all get out and start pushing my car up the hill. So they're in like their dresses and skirts in the middle of winter, like shoving my car up the hill. It was pretty funny. So those are the moments though that I think really stood out just from my time at Breck because although it was so cool to win, it's kind of all the little moments that kind of make the season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you've had an incredible journey to this point, tons of great experiences, and one of those also was the opportunity or the achievement rather of being named Miss Hockey Minnesota. So I want to know as well from you what that achievement means to you in especially as you're reflecting on the journey that you've had to this point.
That was a pretty cool moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was really proud um in that moment. I was proud of our group too. And I think one of the reasons that was so special was because one, I'm joining an incredible line of athletes, incredible history of female athletes in Minnesota, which I feel very honored to be a part of. Another reason is that throughout the years, a lot of those awards have gone to Gophers, just Minnesota teams, whether it's the Gophers or Duluth, St. Cloud. And I was committed to Quinnipiac at the time. I remember having the conversation with my pops about, I think halfway through the season, that because he was in the conversation, you know, he's never saying like, oh, yeah, you can do it, you're gonna get it, but just little comments of like, "Are you having a great season? Like, it's there if you want it." That, like those kinds of things. And I remember getting so angry because I did not believe that I could do it. I thought there's no way. What is he talking about? It always goes to a Gopher. It always goes to a Minnesota gal. There's no way I'm gonna get this. And he said you have to make it undeniable. And so that kind of again shifted my mindset that whatever I'm gonna do, you got to leave no doubt. And I remember having a conversation with my coach and another line mate, and this is kind of tied to the same thing, but there were a couple records at Breck that me and my line mate were within reach of getting. And I've never been one to focus on points or anything like that because it's tough to measure that. And like if you get it, great. If you don't, then you know you suck in your head. So, but we had that conversation, and he just kind of laid it out there, and we just like no one said nothing more about it. And but that season we both kind of on like we didn't say anything, but we both kind of went for it. You know, she wanted to get the assist records, and so she would just keep feeding me the puck, and I would just keep putting the puck in the net. It was really cool because nothing was intentionally said, but it was all this belief in us, in myself, with my coach, and with my parents that we can do this. You know, I think just with all that support and that love and trust with the people, you know, closest to me, it was really cool that, you know, we were able to get it done. Like we were able to, despite all the odds or whatever story I've written in my head, that we were able to do it. And as I said, being able to join that list of athletes with that title is just it's really cool. And I feel very honored to be a part of it.
Does that also add some fuel to your, we're going to get now in just a moment to your collegiate career, but especially as you looked at your future in hockey, do you think that also added some fuel, having the opportunity to be in such an illustrious group that you were with fellow Miss Hockey Minnesotas?
Yes. Yes, I think that was something that I remember thinking like, oh, I am a good hockey player. You know, like people see me as a good hockey player, and it was a huge burst of confidence, just especially wrapping up high school, going into college. Um, But kind of going back to that, after the first few months or going back to that pressure, after the first few months at QPEC, it didn't really pan out how I thought it would. I thought I'd come in after this incredible high school senior year, I'd come in and just knock it out of the park and I'd get all these points and it'd be great. And that's not at all how it went. I mean, I didn't score my first goal until like February of that season, and there's a fluke puck. It kind of bounced over the goalies somehow, but it's I remember thinking like, wow, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, or that it's been in the past. Um, so it absolutely motivated me to be better, but I think more so just it instilled a lot of confidence in me going into the next level. And once I got to the next level, it was all right. This isn't going to be like high school. It's not going to be the same. I gotta elevate again. Which I did. Having kind of gotten that award and accomplished what we accomplished. So I had confidence going in to college that I can do hard things and I can do what's going to hopefully navigate whatever's thrown at me.
You, as you said, you started with Quinnipiac. When did you commit, and what made Quinnipiac the right next step for you to begin your collegiate career?
It was a super good relationship. They had reached out, one of the first schools to reach out, and we chatted, I think, every week or every other week. So everything felt very comfortable in that aspect. I think too, I ended up getting out there, I think my sophomore, junior year, and it was just so college. Like that was exactly what I pictured in my head. The campus is beautiful and it's super tight, which I liked. I didn't like the idea of having to drive across town for a class. And so everything just kind of felt right in the moment. And I think too, it was the recruiting process was also pretty overwhelming. And especially at the time being 13, 14, 15 years old, having to talk to all these adults and answer questions that I don't know the answer to. And so going through that process, it was super overwhelming. Aside from chatting to them the longest, having really good feels about them, my parents chatted with them, everything felt right. I think too, it's just kind of that point, it just felt like I want to be done with this process. This is a really good school. I like the coaches. It's a good fit. I just kind of want to be done with the rest of it. So I think I committed, I think end of my like freshman year, maybe going into my freshman year or halfway through. So pretty early, but again, in the moment, I felt like a no-brainer at the time.
This episode is brought to you by MB Performance Nutrition, fueling the next generation of hockey players. Whether your athlete is just starting out or chasing next level performance, MB Performance Nutrition has free resources to help, like a meal timing guide and protein powder buying checklist. Founded by Melissa Bufunos, a certified holistic nutritionist and former elite hockey player, MB Performance Nutrition also offers one-on-one coaching, team workshops, and more. Learn more at melissabufunos.com. That's MELISSABOUFOUNOS.com. By the end of your collegiate career, you had also gone through Ohio State as well as most recently Minnesota Duluth. Before we get into maybe sort of some of the reasons why those were the right fits for you as you progressed through your collegiate career, you also won in your collegiate career with Ohio State. What did it feel like to win again now at the next level that you're playing in? And maybe what were some of the differences maybe that you felt between winning state championships as opposed to collegiate?
That was one of the coolest moments, winning that national championship, just because not everyone gets to do it, and it's something that I'll remember forever. I think that some of the differences is that year at Ohio, although it was so fun winning that national championship, it felt like they had won it, and I was lucky enough to be part of the ride, and that was something that was hard to kind of swallow because in high school I was part of the battle 100%, and I got to be along with the gals and kind of I was in the battle, so I feel like we won it. Like we all did it. We all had to do it together. Whereas with Ohio, I felt very much so lucky and fortunate to be there, but I was just there. I didn't feel like I got to be in the battle as much as I wanted to. That being said, it was so, so cool. And to be alongside my gals, because I was close with the gals, and I still talk to some of them today, and so all that was really cool. It was just a completely different feeling than winning at the high school level.
Speaking maybe of great feelings, how did it feel to then finish out your career with the opportunity to return home and play at Minnesota Duluth?
That was pretty cool. Just being from here, growing up, watching Duluth play. I remember the first time I got to Amsoil and like realizing this was going to be my home for the next year. It was pretty cool because maybe I grew up watching them, and that's kind of what I knew hockey to be. I knew college hockey to be. So being able to come home and finish it out with the Bulldogs it was pretty special. My parents were able to come to most of the games. It really reminded me of high school. As I mentioned before, junior and senior year of my at Breck, some of the most fun years I've had playing hockey. It felt very similar to this fifth year at UMD, just in terms of how close our group was. All the gals fit in, and it was like a puzzle. We all kind of had our place. We all speak the same language. I was happy to go. I was looking forward to go to the rink every day, and just it reminded me a lot of my junior and senior year at Breck. So aside from obviously being back home, state of hockey, and with my friends and family, I was so glad how happy I was, at the rink, on the ice, with the gals. Because I think just kind of coming off, I mean, frankly, my junior and senior year of college, it was just it got really hard at times. And so being able to wrap it up at home and with a really great group, it was really special.
How did your friends and family react to you being able to play in front of them?
They were pretty excited. I remember deciding to transfer though for the third time and talking to my parents. That was super tricky because I mean it was all uncharted waters. No one knows what we're doing, and but they were super supportive. Kind of going back to that undying support, they're extremely supportive, and I think just with how unhappy I was at Ohio and all the support that they were giving me, I think for them too is pretty cool that I wanted to come home, and that they were going to be able to watch me in my final year of college. And because we don't know what's going to happen next, I could be heading off anywhere next year. I don't know. So I think ultimately it was the right choice coming back home, but it was really cool seeing or getting all the love from everybody when I came back here. So it was really special.
When you think back to having a transfer rather between those three different programs, what were some of the biggest adjustments that you had to make? And you can maybe, take this in whatever direction you want to take it in, whether that's, on the ice or maybe that's also academically as well.
Yeah, I think transferring to or leaving deciding to leave QPAC, the hardest thing there was that I was leaving my family. I was leaving my girls. I mean, those because I kind of grew up playing boys hockey, and then I went to Breck. But even at Breck, everyone lived. My best buddy lived 45 minutes away from me. It being a private school, so I never got to see him aside from hockey. So when I got to QPAC, I was with these gals 24/7. I mean, which is what happens, but I lived with my whole class. There were 8 of us in there. Those dorms got really messy at points. It was kind of gross, but it was that was super hard to sign to leave there because I was leaving my family. I was leaving these gals that I had grown to love and to trust, and who got to know me, like really know me, and so that was super hard for that reason. But then getting to Ohio, I was super excited because it's the Ohio State. It's awesome and all the history there. I was pretty fired up. But I remember right away, she drew lines up. And right away, I was on fourth line. I was like, ooh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. Just I'd never been in that spot before, which I'm so fortunate to have kind of sat at the top my whole hockey career. But I also have never learned that lesson of not being at the top. So hitting it for the first time in college, my senior year of college, that was a wake-up call. That was something I'd never experienced, dealt with, managed. I didn't have the skills, the words, and that was super hard. I mean, that I didn't really know how to act either as a teammate because as I said, I've always kind of been at the top, so I've been good, everything's been okay. Learning the skills to kind of get through that process and kind of shift my mindset from being, I'm going to help my team out, I'm going to help us win and get us points and all this. It shifted to, okay, I'm not on the ice as much, but every single practice I can bring it. I can be the best teammate I can be. I can have the best attitude, bring the most energy. Because at the end of the day, I go home with me. Like I got to feel good when I put my head on the pillow. I mean, that was one of the hardest things, kind of learning those skills and adopting that new mindset. And then coming to UMD, yeah, aside from being super excited coming back home, I was nervous that the gals weren't going to be too fond of me because aside from transferring 3 times and it's like that, their last game 2 seasons ago was against Ohio, and we just crushed them. It was like 9-1 in the tournament, and I remember thinking like, man, these girls really, they don't have to like me, like why would they like me, And but that wasn't the case at all. I mean, they welcomed me with open arms. It's funny, one of the first memories I have was at UMD. I dropped my stuff off at the house and I buzzed down to the rink and I just walked in to the side of the building just to check it out. I walked right in the middle of their workout, and before, like, I wanted just to turn around and be like, "Oh, that's weird." They one of the gals in the team, Nina, came up to me right away, shook my hand, and introduced herself. And then all the gals followed, and that was one of the coolest moments ever because she didn't have to do that, and they didn't have to do that, and they could have brushed me off and been like, "Oh, that's Mobes, who's bounced around and doesn't know what she's doing." So that was pretty cool. But I think one of the challenges there was that I had to relearn or find confidence in myself again. Because at Ohio, I lost all that. I mean, I had no confidence. I didn't think I was that good anymore. I didn't I thought that was it. I thought that was the best I could do was that. And so coming to UMD, I had to learn how to believe in myself again and how to have confidence. And if you ask my coaches, that's the biggest thing, the biggest kind of thing they tell me to work on is just my confidence because I just didn't have any of that when I first got there. So over the season, I learned that no matter where you go, I mean, you're a product of your environment. Just because I'm first line here, fourth line here, sitting over here, I'm still me and I'm still the same player. It's just where I'm at that time. Yeah, I mean, each place posed different challenges, but I also feel so fortunate and so lucky that I got to learn all these lessons that otherwise it might have hit me at the next level, and that would have been even harder to learn. So although in the moment it was a challenge for sure, I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to learn all this stuff.
Especially as you're looking at taking this next step, and we're going to talk about the PWHL in just a moment. Looking back on your career, and especially where you are right now, you you had shared that you had the fortune of being able to look up to your brother, and be inspired by your brother. And but there weren't all the same, maybe role models or influences in the female space, certainly as there are starting to be highlighted a lot more now with the PWHL, the growth of women's sports across the board. Now you are a part of that. Now there are going to be girls growing up who go to the ice or go to the rink or hit the old ODR and say, I want to be like Olivia Mobley. What does that mean to you?
Ooh, that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know. It's it's weird hearing that just because it's just been my life. I guess it's what I've just kept doing is keep playing hockey, and so that's really cool. But I mean, like you just said, to have these women doing what they're doing now with the different, I mean, the PW and even other professional women's sports, it is so cool that these younger gals have people to look up to. I mean, I remember my mom was telling me a story, how my younger brother would ask my older brother if, he wanted to play professional hockey one day. And my brother was like, "Oh yeah, I know if it works out." But he would never ask me that, just because it wasn't a thing. Not blaming him, just it wasn't a thing. So now that that's possible and that these gals, I mean, like you just said, like it's something tangible, they can see it, they can achieve it. I think that is so cool. And to be even in the conversation of this, it feels I'm so just honored, honestly, to be a part of it because I didn't see this for myself. It doesn't feel that way. It just feels like I'm living my life. I'm just playing hockey. I'm working out. It's just what I do. It's all I know to do. So to even be in this conversation, it is pretty. I feel very lucky to be in the conversation.
Let's talk about your future, the next step in your career. You've declared for the PWHL draft. How does it feel to have declared and know that, there's also this future professionally where you can earn money doing the thing that you love? How are you feeling in this moment?
Pretty excited. It is one of the coolest things ever that I'm, hopefully I get to keep doing what I love to do. With what the PW has done with professional hockey for women, it's just incredible. It's to have that possibly be my reality. It's a dream come true. I mean, it's just what I want to what I want to. I just want to keep playing hockey. That's what I wanted to do my whole life. And the fact that I can keep doing that now potentially, that is so cool. It's just all I've ever wanted. And it's it's funny. The other day, it's just a random story, but we're shopping at the store, and I was gonna help this woman start bagging stuff because there's no one helping her, and she made a comment like, like you don't need to help me, and my mom was like, "Oh, like college grad, she can help you." And the conversation went on, and she's like, "Oh, so what'd you go to school for?" And I was pretty honest. I was like, "I went for hockey, like, that's why I'm here." And she's like, "Oh, like, what are you studying?" Like, I business, but frankly, my goal is to play hockey. That's what I want to do in my life. And she's like, "But what does it say in the diploma?" And I was, I think, too honest in that moment with her. But it's all I want to do is just keep playing hockey. So I'm pretty fired up and I'm just pretty excited for what's next.
Before we wrap up today's conversation, once again, thank you so much for joining and just being so honest, just being you. And this is fantastic. This has been a fantastic conversation. I want to, as I always do with every one of my conversations, I want to play a game that I've called rapid fire questions. I'm going to throw you some questions. You can take as long as you want answering them. The goal is for me not to ask any follow-up questions. So
Right on.
yeah, the pressure's on me now, so don't
Yeah,
worry.
good luck.
Yeah. So are you ready to take the final test of today's conversation?
Yes.
Okay. What is your go-to pregame meal?
We got this pregame meal at Duluth, and it's rice, salmon, and this mix of like sweet potatoes and carrots. And I put this balsamic glaze on it. It's so good.
Dear, it sounds
Yep,
fantastic.
it
Uh,
is fantastic.
what is your favorite cheat meal or treat?
Ice cream, no doubt.
Okay, follow-up question. What flavor?
Have
I
to
got
do it.
two
Yep,
questions
yep,
in.
yep.
Yeah. What's your flavor?
You know, I gotta have some chocolate in there. It's like a moose track situation, or maybe some fudge, something in there. So anything with chocolate, I'm game for.
Do you have any superstitions or pregame rituals?
You know, with I like to pretend that I'm not superstitious so that if something in my routine goes off, that nothing bad will happen. But also too, having moved around so much, I've kind of changed what I do wherever I go. But I always like to um get 10 to 15 minutes of music and then visualization before game days.
Oh, it's what a segue into the music section of these questions. So thank you for that assist there.
Yes.
What is your, speaking of then, what are some of those songs that you're listening to that get you ready for the game?
Well, before the game, in those like 10 to 15 minutes, that's probably 2.5 hours out. So it's pretty chill music. Something with like band camp, or even Lumineer, something more mellow. Because I can't get too ramped up too early. But if
Yeah,
I'm
got
gonna
to
get
pace yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna get ramped up, probably I like the song Prada. I don't know who it's by, but it's pretty good and it always gets me going. Or like if I'm working out and I'm running, I always run a little bit faster when that song's on. So that's a good one.
Most recently in your time with Minnesota Duluth, who owned the dressing room music and what do you remember was played most often?
Ooh. MK O'Brien was on the tunes a lot. I always vouched for country.
Yeah, okay.
So every now and then we'd get some country, but not too often. Otherwise, man, it's hard to think. There's a lot of like alternative, as I kind of said, like Lumineers, those songs would be thrown in there. Or otherwise, songs by like the baby, like those like rap, like high school, like pump up party songs. Those are pretty common in our locker room.
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I ask that question and I say like, "Oh, I know these songs." And then there are other times when I feel like I'm way too old because I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
never heard that. So now it just gives me homework to do. So I respect that.
Yeah.
Um, what is one thing that people don't know about you?
Ooh. I can speak Spanish. I actually majored in Spanish, and I can also do a loon call.
I promise I won't ask you to do it here.
Okay, so I was
But
practicing earlier and I wasn't getting it, so I kind of
okay, good.
might not be a good time.
Okay, good, good. I always like that you're prepared, though. Just you never know when you could use a good loon call, so I respect that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's one word your teammates would use to describe you?
I think chill. They always we do these like little pregame notes sometimes at Duluth, and that was always a buzzword in the notes that I'm super chill and laid back, which I think is pretty true for the most part.
Yeah, I could vouch for that based off of the conversation that we've had today, so that's fair. What's something that remains on your bucket list?
Ooh. I love traveling, so frankly any sort of traveling would be unreal. Uh I think a more specific one though is that I do want to run a marathon. So at some point in my life I have to run a marathon.
Okay, we're holding you to it,
Cool.
everyone. Yeah, we have to hold you
Cool.
to it. Um, Last question for you. What's a lesson you've learned through your hockey journey that you wish more young players knew?
I think the biggest takeaway I have is that every path is different and to trust in your path. Just throughout my career, as I said, I've moved around from girls hockey, guys hockey, moved to Breck, moved to high school, that moved around in college. It's not a very typical path. And I think at times it'd be easy to kind of like, oh, what's this for? I've moved so many times, or this is so hard. Like, am I even going in the right direction? Am I doing the right thing? But I think if you love something, just kind of trusting that your path is yours and that like you'll find your way if you really love it. That's something that I wish I knew when I was younger, just to trust the process, I guess is a better way to say it. But every path is different. No life is the same, no path is the same, no journey is the same. And that's also the beauty of it. I think enjoy what is kind of handed to you, and obviously it's gonna be tough moments, but kind of trust that you're gonna learn from them and get through them. So that's something I wish I knew, I guess, growing up.
That is profound advice and advice that applies whether you're an athlete or you're not. So I love that it's very universal advice. So I appreciate that, and that's a perfect way for us to end today's episode, the rapid fire question segment, as well as this episode of Rinkside Rundown. A big thank you to Olivia Mobley for joining me and sharing her incredible journey from her early days in Minnesota to her championship season at Ohio State to now declaring for the upcoming PWHL draft and preparing for the next exciting chapter in her professional career. Olivia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's been awesome hearing about your experiences. And once again, thank you for being so chill, as you had mentioned just a moment ago, and just so open, honest. This has been an absolutely fantastic conversation, and one I feel very fortunate enough to have had. So thank you for joining the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed this. So thank you.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps us to bring you more inspiring stories just like Olivia's from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.